Hey, hello. Welcome to episode number 113 of the People We Love podcast. I am Adam Choit. What's up? If you're new here, what I do is interview people from all walks of life, most often comedians and other artists about their lives and careers. The conversation is casual, but I also ask everyone to highlight the people they love, who they admire, who influenced them, inspired them, or supported them. For more, check out peoplewelovepodcast.com. That's peoplewelovepodcast.com. And the Instagram handle is at People We Love Podcast. And I'm on Instagram and Twitter at Adam Choit. And please remember to tap subscribe or follow on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. And of course, 5-star positive reviews on iTunes, Apple Podcasts are greatly appreciated. So, today's guest is comedian Chaz Carter. Born and raised in Tampa, Florida, this quiet, smart, introverted kid started to finally come out of his shell in high school when he got into theater. He recalls watching Def Comedy Jam as a kid, and after moving to Los Angeles at 19 to pursue acting training, it wasn't until a little later on when stand-up became his life, essentially. Chaz's journey has had some ups and downs for sure, but always there supporting him and offering her honest thoughts has been Mom. But we cover a lot, so let's just get started. Here's Chaz Carter. Okay, so it's good to see you today, Chaz Carter. Thank you for joining me on Zoom.
Yeah, of course. No problem.
Oh, how are you holding up during whatever the current year this is, whatever year this is?
The year of our Lord pandemic. I'm fine, I'm good. Just living, trying to stay, healthy and sane.
Healthy and positive mindset.
Yeah.
Like those kinds of things.
Yeah, the regular things, because those things are like super important now with everything going on.
Yeah, you are pretty healthy and fitness conscious and all that stuff. I have noticed.
For the most part.
How do you
have my vices?
Yeah, we all do in our moments, but how do you stick with that type of focus, like for health? Or I'm always interested in not diet, but nutrition, I should say, and that kind of stuff.
I think honestly, like, it's just a mindset. It's a mindset and a willpower. Like, you have to want to
right.
be in shape and stuff like that. Because if you don't have the willpower or the desire to even like be healthy or be in shape, then it's like there's no point in doing it because you're not going to do it.
Right. So many people. That's why I'm not
that friend. I'm not that kind of friend who's like, you should do this. It's like, no, if you come to me and say like, hey, I want to like, get in shape or eat healthy or something, then I'll like give opinions and suggest things, but I'm not gonna.
That's the right attitude about it.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. You have to want the thing in life. I think that's a big thing. Otherwise you're just going through the motions, I think, to some degree.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's kind of like how I approach a lot of things in my life. Like the majority of things in my life, it's like I have to want it. There has to be a desire there, because if there isn't a desire there, then it's like I'm just wasting my time.
People think they're supposed to do things or act a certain way or be a certain thing or be a certain way in their life through all different pressures, through societal, through parents, through whatever. But like, that's a big thing, because you'll be more productive if you're following your heart or doing what you're most passionate about, which I guess not everyone can do in their lives of circumstances. But you have the right mindset when it comes to all that stuff, for sure. But why don't we get into your life, speaking of it, and you could tell me a little bit about your background and where you're from and where you grew up. And I usually start pretty young, just curious about even like what earliest people's memories are, like 4 or 5 years old, even images or sounds.
You're
like, I'm not ready for this.
I was like, ooh, going deep.
It's not deep. It's just far back.
Yeah, I know. That's what I mean. Like far back, like deep, like in like the memory bank.
I suppose so.
Shit. I'm like 4 or 5. What the fuck was I doing at 4 or 5? I grew up in Tampa, Florida. I am, the oldest of a handful of siblings. And where else? I grew up in the projects for the first 11 years of my life. I feel like live like that shaped a lot of my work ethic, my discipline.
Yeah.
Yeah, because growing up in the project, it's just like you just want more, you want better for your life, for life of your loved ones.
Does
So
everyone want that? Everyone wants that. Like,
I feel like most people, yeah,
right.
most people from the hood definitely want that
What do you
because you
remember?
see
Yeah, go on.
because you see what it's like on the other side,
Right.
you know.
What do you remember from even like being like 5, 6 elementary school age? Like what kind of kid were you outside of like,
I
I
was really
mean,
quiet. I was very quiet. I was very introverted. That's a thing, a random fact that a lot of people don't know about me is that I was actually very introverted as a youth. I think now because I'm way more outverted and social now, and because of stand up and and what we do. And I think a lot of people tend to think that I was always like that, when in reality, up until high school, I was like really timid, really quiet, didn't really talk a lot, was very much like in my head all the time as a kid.
yeah.
But very like got good grades in school, was a bookworm, like did all sorts of shit.
What do you do for fun?
At that age,
Sure, when you're element like young kid.
oh yeah, like reading. I was reading a lot, just like willingly on my own, and writing, drawing. I was a very creative kid. I was like pretty creative even as a kid. Like I liked doing a lot of things that stimulated my mind. I wasn't an athletic kid. Like I didn't go outside and play sports like my siblings. Or I even really wanted to. I would go outside sometimes, but like most of the time I would just be like chilling, talk
Yeah.
to myself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I was a little bit similar. I like sports and I played sports and I wanted to be better at them than I was. But I
Hmm.
also was always doing something creative, like always working on some kind of a project, really thinking about my life since I was like probably myself 4 or 5 years old, always working on like creative thing. Like, was that something like, was it looking back, was it like projects even always like a little something that,
Um, I'm sorry. Project. No. Well, projects from school or like any extracurricular stuff we were doing.
yeah,
Yeah, because of the fact that, we lived where we lived, my mom was very good about making it priority that we were kept busy with things that would help further either our education or just our like whatever we something that we a hobby, like a creative hobby that we wanted to do, or an athletic hobby.
that's
So
great. That's
yeah, because I had siblings who played sports. I didn't play sports until like ninth, 10th grade.
yeah.
And and I only played for like barely play. I don't know, I would say like a year maybe. And then just like fell back into like more creative endeavors.
What kind of
Like
stuff are you drawing? I'm sorry. What's the kind of stuff are you
I was
drawing?
just, as a kid, I was just drawing random shit. Like, like I had no rhyme or reason. I was just drawing whatever I wanted. Like random comic book characters, eyeballs, people, doorways, who knows?
Yeah,
Like,
but more than
yeah.
just the 3D cube, which is my
Yeah,
level.
more than just a 3D cube. I mean, granted, I don't know if it was like on that level, but yeah, something of that nature. And then, when I got a little older, I got into like I started getting into like drama class and yearbook, and I was like in an Avid program. Like there, I was basically they're prepping me by having me take preparatory college credit classes in high school.
That's cool. It sounds like you were like,
I was
I
pretty
don't.
smart. I was a pretty
Yeah,
smart kid.
smart,
Yeah, I was a pretty smart kid in
but
school.
involved also, like coming out of your shell a
Yeah,
little bit, I guess, as an
yeah,
introvert, like you described.
yeah. I started to come out of my shell when I got in high school because I got in drama and I got into I got into activities that forced me to be more like social and kind of put myself out there. helped me deal with like anxiety, because
Confront it.
confronting it, yeah, because I used to get like, yeah, like being around a lot of people sometimes, like I still sometimes get like social anxiety, but
Sure.
it's not like extreme. It's just like more internalized where I'm like, there's a lot of people around.
Yeah. People never make me anxious. No, they do.
it,
I'm fucking around.
I was
Yeah.
like, it depends. It depends on who the people are.
You're right.
Because for me, because there are definitely some people who I like legitimately like, I don't feel comfortable around you. Like, I'm just
Right.
gonna
Was it a
go
big
over
high
here.
school? What was like kind of like the vibe at your high
Yeah.
school?
Yeah. My high school was pretty big. It's my school was predominantly black and Latino and Asian. And there were white kids who went to my school, but it was definitely like a high school on the like south side of town. So, which is actually a great thing for me because we lived in when I was in high school, we were living in Pinellas Park, this smaller city within the city we lived in, a smaller section of the city that we lived in. And because it was on the north side, our neighborhood was like, I don't know, it was like this weird mix of just like random ethnic people, or not ethnic people, like, there was black people, there was Latino people, there was like white people, and then there were like sprinkles of Asian people in the neighborhood. So the neighborhood was really diverse, but the high school was just predominantly like black and Latino kids, which is cool because they were mostly all my friends. All anyways, I don't, that was when I started to blossom in high school. I was like making a lot of friends. Um, all my friends were hella fun. High school still had its bullshit though. You know,
Sure. I bet.
it just
What about what were you like watching on TV or music that you were listening to, like kind of like cultural stuff were you into like even in high school?
um, I listen to everything. I listen to rap, R&B. I grew up in a very R&B heavy household, so really love and appreciate the genre. And alternative, that was around. I started getting into alternative rock music probably like early high school, and then that's when I started diving into other like genres like 80s music, 90s.
Yeah,
Um,
eclectic taste. And I'm sure we'll
yeah.
cross this bridge. And I also asked you about TV shows and movies or whatever,
hmm
but like the stand up thing where you watching stand up and you let me know like when that became a thing that you were doing in your journey. But yeah, tell me more about like what kind of stuff you were into.
That was what I was in musically. I would say stand up. The first time I saw stand up as a kid, I was like 10 or 11 because my mom and my godmother used to watch Def Comedy Jam when I was a kid. And so sometimes they would let me and my other older cousin watch some of the episodes or just sit until the language got a little too crazy. Then we would have to like, we couldn't watch it. But yeah, I remember around that age, that was the first time I saw Bernie Mac do stand up. That was the first time I saw Martin Lawrence do stand up. That was the first time I saw Dave Chappelle. That was the first time I saw Dave Chappelle was on a Def Comedy Jam when I was like 10 or 11. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I think that was the first time I like fell in love with the concept of being a comedian, but I had never envisioned it for myself at that time. Like that wasn't my aha moment with stand up. That was me just like watching it as a kid and being like, this is amazing and fucking funny. And they're just talking about all kinds of nasty shit, but it's funny as shit. That was my brain at a 10, as a 10, 11-year old.
Right. You know instinctually just the mannerisms and what they're saying
Yeah.
is funny, even if you don't
Yeah.
fully understand everything. That's what I found
Yeah.
talking to everyone who describes
Yeah.
watching stand up as a kid.
Yeah, that's literally it. What you just said is like I didn't understand a lot of what they were talking about as they were talking about things that I had never experienced or encountered in life at that point. But the way they were telling it or the way they were acting it out, that was what made me laugh. So I was like, oh, this is amazing. I feel like my aha moment with stand up didn't happen until I was like well into my late 20s.
Yeah, as far as like getting to doing
Yeah,
it yourself. But it's
getting to
interesting
a
to
point where I wanted to do it. Yeah,
yeah, it's
I was
interesting
like,
to hear you talk about like the moment you fell in love with it, the idea of it as an art form. Is that what you said, or as a I forget exactly how you put it. But I was like,
as a kid, that was the moment I fell in love with it, just purely as like an art form.
right. And I think
But
the same thing happened to
yeah,
me. Probably. Like
yeah.
I'm not a stand-up and I never really
But I
tried
didn't
it.
want it. Yeah, at that
Right,
point, I wasn't
exactly.
like, I'm
But
gonna
you
be a
like
stand-up.
yeah, but you fall in love with it. You do in a sense. It's like, wow, this person's just like totally
Yeah.
controlling the crowd and they're all laughing and the guy's actually funny and I'm laughing at home and
Hmm.
laughing feels good. Just to put it
Hmm.
quite in simple terms, it's
Yeah.
pretty amazing. Maybe it was Eddie Murphy Raw for me. I don't know. I have to think about it more. Something like,
I
what is the first
I
stand-up special as a kid that really was like, oh, this is cool. I'm into this.
nice.
It was on in the background though, like the
Yeah, yeah,
comic
yeah.
relief and stand-up was kind of always on, not always on, but
Right.
it was on sometimes. My parents would
That's
listen. They like it.
that's fucking amazing. I didn't get to see Eddie Murphy's Raw until I was like probably like 14, 15.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't watch it at home. I watched it at a friend's
of
house.
course.
Yeah, I saw it at a friend's house. My friend, I'm trying to remember which friend, but their older sibling was playing it, and we just like sat there and watched it. And I remember being like, "Yo, this dude," I was like, "Eddie Murphy is so fucking funny." And I also felt robbed because I was like, "God damn it, I wish." Because my mom didn't let us watch. Like, I couldn't watch like super profane shit until I was like in my mid-teens. As a kid, we just weren't allowed to watch that kind of stuff. She was like, "Nah."
Yeah,
We did see stuff as a kid, it was because we sneak watched it or like we saw it at someone else's house.
I think that's the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
pretty much.
you're
Pretty
doing it
much.
right. What about when you were like in high school? What were you thinking? Like even like junior, senior year, where your life would be headed, or what would you be doing? College, working plans, or tell me more about even theater because that seems like that was a big part of your life. Maybe those things all tie
Yeah.
together.
I had made two choices by the time I got to the senior year. I had decided that I either wanted to go to UCF, which is Universe.
Central Florida.
Yes, okay. I was like, am I tripping? I was like, sorry. I was like, I'm a little stoned. I didn't want to name the wrong college.
Yeah, I was
Yes, I
breaking down
had.
the letters. I was
Yeah,
like,
I was
you.
like, yeah, in Orlando. I wanted to go to either UCF for journalism because I love to write. I loved writing. But I was like, I had a dream that I wanted to like go write about like world news. Like I wanted to like travel the world. Like I had this whole dream about like my dream career that I was like, I'm either going to travel the world and like tell these stories of like all sorts of like different backgrounds and cultures and things going on in the world. Like I wanted to be like on my Anderson Cooper shit, just like traveling. No, more like National Geographic type shit, like
Magazine
traveling the.
style.
Yeah, yeah, that was like what I wanted to do, and I was like set to go to school for it. I had the grades. I was like, let's go. So it was either that or acting because I was in theater at the same time, and I also had fell in love with that. And I remember my drama teacher like pulled me aside and she like told me that she like recommended me to audition for this school and this drama school in Los Angeles. She was like, I think you'd be great for this. Like you should just audition and see what happens. And so my mom drove us from Tampa to Orlando to audition for this school. And I got in.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I got in and moved to LA at the age of 19 and the rest is history.
Wow.
Yeah.
What did that all feel like when you received this compliment from your drama instructor and all this like these things were happening? People must have been like, wow, this is like, especially coming from where you came from and describe like
Yeah.
it's not that I don't think your story is the typical story, even just up to this point.
No, yeah, a lot of people, because I've only talked about that section of my life with like really close people in my life because that was a rough transition period. Like, and I just went at it head first because I knew what I wanted and my mom supported it. My mom was always been like mega supportive and but she was very honest. My mom was very honest. I could always look to her to be like, I support this, but no, this shit's gonna be hard. And so yeah, and it was fucking hard. The first like handful of years I lived in LA, it was just like trying to like navigate being an adult and while also like trying to pursue something but not having any idea of how to even start.
Right. Right. It's
Like
still
you
hard.
don't, yeah, it's still
It's
hard. You're
still
like
hard.
you don't know anyone, you don't know your way around. You've made friends, but you know, you've only made those friends through school. So it's like you still haven't like quite set your setting there. And so it's a lot. It's a lot to take in. And also throw in like schoolwork and excelling at that, trying to excel at that, and also throwing in like college partying and drinking and all of drugs and all those things that go along with being young and just wanting to fucking do everything.
Right. It's a lot.
Doing the most.
So it was a bit of an adjustment moving across the country as a
Yes.
19-year-old.
Yes, someone who had never lived in Los Angeles. Yes, it was quite a fucking adjustment.
And you didn't know
But like,
anyone? You didn't know anyone?
no, I didn't know anyone.
Wow.
The closest relative I had was a great aunt and two cousins who lived in the Bay Area. I mean, not Bay Area. Sorry, I'm tripping. Jesus Christ, San Diego. We
Yeah.
had some other like people who lived in the Bay Area who we consider like family, but they're like blood relatives. Yeah, San Diego. And then years later, I found out I had a cousin in Anaheim, but I didn't know that at the time. So no, in my mind, it was like, no, I had no family. I just had to figure all this shit out as I navigated it. I had my family support, but it was like, I didn't come from money. So, they helped when they can, when they could. But most of the time, I had to figure this shit out.
Yeah.
You
Tell
know?
me about the journey from moving to LA and whatnot.
I was working
Yeah.
at one point, I was working like two jobs. I was working two jobs and going to school and trying to like, at one point I couldn't even afford to stay. I couldn't even afford to stay in school.
That's
So
tough.
yeah, I had to drop out after like the first year.
Like acting training, is that what that was?
Yeah. Yeah. It was a dramatic art school. It wasn't like a full on like varsity like UCF, but no. Yeah. So yeah, I just like after that I just wasn't in school and I was just like drifting through life, just working a bunch of odd end jobs to pay rent and kind of acting, but not really, and going on a lot of like auditions, but not landing anything. It was a lot. It was a lot. It was quite an ordeal. And yeah, I at one point I remember just like thinking like, damn, like am I doing this wrong? Like what am I doing? Like what like I just was feeling like defeated for a while. I didn't know how or what I was doing, but I just knew that whatever was going on was not how this was supposed to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I just kind of like at one point in my like mid 20s, I just started to like change a lot of things, a lot of mistakes I was making in life and focus. And that's when everything started to like
Time
make,
management, what and how
make
you manage your
sense.
time kind of thing.
Time management, removing things, you know, things that I was doing, like heavy drugs and heavy partying and just really focus on like why I moved here. Um, and yeah, just like focused and got a manager and started auditioning and getting little small things here and there, which was cool. And I think before that I was in a sketch troupe at the IO West in Hollywood, and that was fun for a little bit. And that was when I got my first taste of like writing, because I was helping write sketches or put sketches together with like fellow troupe members. And then that was when I got serious about acting. And so I was like, went out, got a rep, and then landed a rep, and then just started going on a bunch of auditions. And then I think when I was like nearing 30, I met a dear friend of mine who I love very much. She actually, I've told this story like a couple of times, but she actually is the reason why I started stand up. Not the reason why. No, she was the big push that she plays a heavy role in how I even landed in stand up.
Yeah, who's that?
That is my friend Sophie Cooper. If she's listening to this, I adore her. She's amazing. She was working at the Comedy Store at the time, and we met at my day job. I was working at a coffee shop in Los Feliz, and she would come in there, and we would just chop it up, and we just like hit it off really well because I was like, oh, she's really cool. She's a cool ass person, and so um, she used to start just suggesting I do stand up. She's like, you should do stand up. And I used to just always just like look at her like she's fucking crazy. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, like, girl, stop. Like, I was just like being dismissive. And she's like, no, you're gonna do stand up. And so like she like basically like pushed me in a very loving manner to like start writing jokes. And I just was like, you're insane. It's just like I did not. I just was like, you're crazy. This is insane. Like, what do you mean write jokes? I don't even know how to write jokes. And yeah, and I went to my first open mic at the Comedy Store. And yeah, and then that night from there on, that night changed the course of my entire life.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
always cool to hear those stories, like how people get like the moments like where they really, really, and the people who like push them or nudge them or lead them into
Hmm.
trying stand up for the first time. Sounds like that was obviously a profound moment with Sophie, you said is her name.
Yeah, Sophie Cooper.
And also even the sketch troupe you were describing, that sounded like that was kind of a big turning point too. Like even before then, like
I feel like that. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Pointed you in the right direction.
Yes, I do feel like that was. I feel like that was legitimately the first time I had a uh, a taste of like writing a scene or understanding how to write comedy.
Writing, yeah,
So
comedy
yeah,
writing.
comedy writing. That was the first time I had experienced what it was like to put together a joke in a scene. Um, well, at that moment, I hadn't quite experienced like writing stand-up jokes, but like sketch jokes, which I feel like are very different.
Yeah, all
Very,
different
very different.
crafts
It's
for
so
sure.
different.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tell me about the open mic, how it went, and continue on the your journey and the stand up journey.
The first time I got up, did stand up, I was okay, borderline trash. It was fine.
Did you have support?
But
Did you have support in the audience?
no, I was at show up, go up.
Oh, I got
There,
that's cool because
there,
a lot of people I talk to, probably 80% of 85% of the comedians, it's like,
uh,
oh, the first time I did, all my friends were there and it was supportive and people cheered, and then times 2 through 88 are really hard.
yeah, I was. I mean, Sophie was there. I had. It was enough people there to feel supported, but
Right.
there were also just as many people there who were willing to be brutally honest and be
Right.
like,
You didn't have like a giant section of your friends going
yeah,
like over
no,
laughing.
no, we did
I
not have a
got you.
Giants. Yeah, no, but I'm kind of glad that that was the case because I honestly, from the moment I started going to mics in the beginning and realizing that I maybe had a chance at being somewhat funny, I just started hitting the pavement and I just started deep diving and throwing myself into it in a way where it was like, I feel like I started at harder mics and then worked my way into like the more like even level supportive mics in the beginning. I was just going to mics where I knew people were going to be like honest in their reactions because I wanted to, because my mentality when I realized that I liked stand up, I was like, and I enjoyed it. I was like, wow, if I'm going to do stand up, I'm not just going to do stand up. I'm going to be really fucking great at it. So I just immediately like there was a switch in my brain that immediately just like informed like the discipline and the work ethic and the writing and all of the things that I know that are required of me to be a good stand up So I just worked my ass off the first like 6 to 8 months, bombed a lot. Who doesn't? I bombed a fuck ton, but I needed to bomb because I needed to get better. And I think for me, around like the like 8 to 9, I would say between 8 to 10 month mark is when like I started to experience what it was like to have like a complete good set. you know? And
Yeah, that must,
so
it's like singing a song perfectly or something like that.
yeah,
Do
yeah.
you remember like the first time that like sort of clicked or that moment? Or I mean, it does sound like you remember around the time or like having those
Yeah.
feelings.
Oh yeah, I definitely remember. I think that's part of the reason why I feel like I have like such a weird tie to like the comedy club in terms of like it being responsible for like my growth as a comic. Because the first time I did like a full blown set where I felt like something clicked was when I did a show in the belly room of the Comedy Store my first year in. And that was the first time I did it in front of a live, like, not live audience. I did, wow. I did shows before then, but that was the first time I did it in front of like a crowd there in a major comedy club. And so it was a big moment for me. And I think that was the first time something clicked in my head where I realized what my voice may sound like in the world of comedy. I feel like that was the moment I found like what I needed to what was funny about me. And
That's
so
cool.
yeah, it was definitely an aha moment. And from that show forward, I started leaning more into that. And the more I leaned into it, the more I started discovering different things that about me that I could talk about or interesting ways to approach things in the world and things of that nature. And just having this very specific view that is specifically mine, but also having it resonate with an audience. And so I just started grinding. I was like doing shows. I was like going crazy. I was doing like show after show after show. The first like I just didn't stop because like I got a lot of great advice from much more successful comedians, and they were just sage advice from a particular comedian by the name of Punky Johnson. I adore her. She's incredibly talented. She's currently fucking killing shit on SNL right now. I'm a huge fan. Um, she headlined that show that I did in the Belly Room the first year. And I remember we just chatted up and she gave me some really, really, really important advice. I don't even think if she heard that, she would realize like how important that was to me in that moment when she just said, keep your head down and focus on being funny. And I took that to the vest and took that going forward. And that literally became like my mantra for the way I approach my stand up. So I'm forever grateful to her for imparting that to me, you know.
Good stuff. Good stuff all
Yeah,
around
it
for
yeah,
sure.
it definitely informed my journey. And so going forward, I just took that mentality of just like working really fucking hard and showing improving every time that I'm not only funny, but I have something to say,
Do
you
you ever
know.
get like burned out or anything, or did you even
Oh
in the
God,
early
yes.
years, or like what are the biggest challenges besides
Hell
like
yeah. Hell fuck yeah.
yeah, what
Hell yeah. Wait, I'm sorry, I cut you
I'm
off.
just
Go ahead,
saying.
baby.
No, I was just saying, do you like did you need a break, or or like what were some of the other
Yeah.
challenges as well, like especially in the early years?
Oh God, yes. Yeah, I did. I got to a point by the end of like year 3, because I'm still a baby in this shit. I'm like 5 years and counting now, but
Right.
like yeah, I think about 5 years at this point. Yeah. So I'm still a baby by like stand up, like, year standard, especially like some of my peers have been doing this shit, like been killing this shit for far longer and dealing with the ups and downs and ebbs and flows. But for me, my own experience, by the end of year 3, I felt like I was feeling burnt out already. I was like, I know that's laughable, but it was like, because by the end of year 3, I was like, I almost never said no to a show, went to every mic, was going on the road or going to like do out of city shows wherever I could, whenever I could, like was just really just like hitting the pavement while also having a full-time day job, while also auditioning for acting stuff. So it was
Oh
like
man.
I was doing a lot, like a
Yeah,
lot.
that's you're
So I,
giving me anxiety thinking about all that.
yeah, so I felt a little ragged. Yeah, there were definitely like a period where I just like I cut back. I was like, I just went to less mics, did less shows, and like started saying no to certain auditions if I didn't feel like I fitted me or wasn't a good, just started setting boundaries, like allowing myself to like, rest if I needed to. And then, but the thing is, I didn't allow myself to rest for too long because I was like, you're still new, so you still need to like hit the pavement. So I didn't take too much of a little like sit back
You got
sabbatical. I
good
eventually,
instincts. You got good instincts, I think is what it is.
yeah, I had a good enough instincts and enough common sense to know that like it's perfectly okay to take a little break, but recognize the fact that you still are new. So you still need to like make sure you are out here and they know that you're fucking out here. So
Right.
I felt like as from that point on, I just became more strategic about the shows I were doing, but I made sure that the shows that I was doing was furthering me to my goal
Right.
of being successful in this field because I know that I can be.
For sure. Making good use of the time, the best use, trying to make the best use
Yes,
of your
yes, yes, yes.
of your time. What about highlights in stand up over the years? Anything jump out at you as far as that?
Oh God, yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I would say a few. I would say the first time I got up in the main room, like I did his whole set at the Comedy Store in the main room. That was definitely a moment. Um, the first time I got friends and family was definitely a moment. The first time I headlined was a moment.
All of
The
them,
first time,
all of those benchmarks,
yeah,
they mean a lot to you. They mean something to
yeah,
you.
yeah, they mean something. They mean something to me because to me, they signify that I'm on the right path, that I'm doing what I'm meant to do, that I'm not wasting my time, that I'm in the right field that I should be in. Yeah. And I was also too, it signified that I also, if I keep this path, it's going to open doorways to other things. And stand up led me to screenwriting. And
Right.
so, yeah, stand up forever just like set me on a path to like finally, get what I dreamed of as a 19-year-old.
Yeah,
So it's been
I was
about
gonna
10
say you're
years in the
passionate. Yeah,
making.
you're passionate, hardworking dude. That's cool. I'm inspired. Like I'm like
Over
shit. I better go work on my own. I gotta go write tonight or something. I better go get going, man. I keep up
and
with you. What about your like writing process? Even for stand up, do you have a routine or a ritual, notes and computers and pads? What's your kind of like thought process and
uh,
physical process? How you sort of
hmm,
put your jokes together and get them down?
when I first started doing stand up, I used to handwrite all my jokes, but I kept losing my book. Like I would either be stoned at a mic and leave it somewhere or like would like leave it. It's just like dumb shit. So I got tired of doing that. So I just started writing my jokes in like my notes and then would like save them to like my Google or my cloud so that I can easily find them if like my
It's a
notes
better
are fucked
system.
up.
It's a better
The better
system.
system, the much better system.
Right.
Yeah, a much better system. So I started, yeah, that's how I started writing my jokes. Or no, that's how I write. Started. That's how I write my jokes.
Yeah.
Um,
Literally write them, record
yeah,
them.
I have a very loose form of writing jokes. I'm not gonna lie. I I'm only strategic when it comes to the subject matter. So like when I write a joke or a new bit, I think and give thought to the subject. but I have more of a looseness about the way I go about writing a joke. Like I like to think of jokes in terms of like two things. What's the most extremely absurd aspect of this subject? And what's the more relatable aspect of this subject? Because if you can find those two aspects of a subject, you're gonna find the comedy in that. You don't need to like force the comedy out of the joke. You're gonna find it. Because I guarantee you, whatever it is you're trying to talk about, if whatever it is, whatever truth it is about that subject is probably fucking hilarious. And sometimes I'll just write some obviously like hilarious, random, like gross out random shit. It just depends. Honestly, I just like I don't know. It's hard to explain my process because I don't feel like I'm
Is it
really.
that is it that the right? Yeah, is that the
I don't
right?
feel like I have one.
Right. You write down ideas and then you work them out on the stage is what it sounds like. The delivery and the tweaking of the editing of the joke itself. Is it something that's worked out on the stage? No.
Okay, so I'll write a subject down and then I'll write like a soft bit around it, but I won't marry myself to the bit and then I'll work it out on stage. So I would say that's kind of how I approach
That's probably a better attitude because
my
you're going
jokes
to be
these
working
days.
on something, you know?
Well, here's the kicker though. I didn't get that sort of like confidence about it overnight. That I had to work on that. I had to work on that really hard because I used to get a lot of stage fright and stage anxiety from the very thought of like work giving myself permission to work something out on stage and not fearing bombing.
Right.
I had to really work very, very, very hard to get to a place where I now feel confident getting on stage and knowing that, okay, I have this soft bit, it may or may not hit, but I'm just going to run with it and see what happens and mine the comedy out of it, whether it be through riffing on it or whatever. But it took a lot of work to get to that point.
That's what I notice when I see comedians. 'Cause I see a lot of shows and whatnot, and that's how I can kind of tell who's been at it, at least for some significant period of time.
Yeah.
The
Yes.
comedians who are able to bounce back when something doesn't go perfectly
Yes.
without me being
Mhm.
making me uncomfortable. Don't make me don't be uncomfortable to make me don't make me uncomfortable because you're uncomfortable.
Yes. A skilled comedian will find their way out of a hole regardless. And that's the difference is like, yeah, a lot of times, like you said, when you watch stand up, that's usually how you can tell a good comedian from a comedian who either needs more work or still hasn't found their voice.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Finding your voice part is hard because it took me a while. And, but I eventually figured it out. I was like, oh, that's not really funny. Let me sit down with myself and actually think about like what my perspective on this shit is. And that's kind of how I figured out how to be relatable, how to be relatable. Therefore, people will find me funny.
What a journey it sounds like. What a journey.
It's been a fucking journey, let me tell you.
Has mom seen you do stand up live? I'm guessing
Yes, yes. My
I'm
mom's
guessing
seen me do
so.
stand. Yeah, my mom's seen me do. She's seen me do stand up like at least two times. Yeah,
How'd that go?
good. My mom thinks I'm funny.
That's good. I mean, even because some
And
parents,
wait, and let me
some parents.
wait,
I
hold
was
on.
gonna say some parents love their kids. That doesn't mean they love their
Listen,
stand up.
listen. I was about to say. Let me preface that by saying my mom is very honest. My mom is not the kind of parent that is going to. My mom never has been that kind of parent. Let's just get that straight. My mom has never been the kind of parent that coddles and tells you what you want to hear. My mom has always had this mentality. She was the one that taught me that mantra of like, if you're going to do something, be the best at it. So her approach was always like, I'm going to support whatever you do, but if you need work or you need to work on it, I'm not going to lie to you and be like, oh my God, you did something. No, she was not that kind of parent.
Yeah,
So she was not about to sit, my mom was not about to sit there and laugh at no joke and it wasn't funny. Like that's the kind of mom she was. So I had to work to make my mom laugh. Okay. But when she did, she finally told me when I finished my set, she was like, that was very good. I was like, if she said that, then I know I'm on the right fucking path because my mom is
yeah.
not easily. Yeah, she was. She does not laugh. You don't get free laughs from her.
And you saw her laughing during your set. You caught her.
Yes. Yeah. I heard her audibly laughing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you can hear it too.
Yeah. I heard her audibly laugh, and that was when I knew. I was like, okay, I think I know what I'm doing.
You ever get distracted by I mean, this is part of being a professional, I guess, but do you ever get distracted by either applause or approval or something like that, like something success in a sense, even in a moment where people are digging your stuff? Everyone's gonna get like distracted into that
Yeah.
because it can be intoxicating, I guess, the feeling of like it feels
Oh
good.
yeah.
Feels
Oh
good. It
yeah.
must feel great.
It's up there with it. It's up there with sex. It's not
Yeah.
better than sex. It's
It's
not
number
better than
it
sex.
could be
No,
two.
could be two. Could be two. Yeah, it's up there. It does feel amazing. It's a very rewarding feeling because you worked really hard on your material and now you are sharing it with the world and they're giving you instant feedback and it's good. That is an amazing feeling. In the beginning, yes. In the beginning, I used to get distracted by that because I wasn't skilled enough at the time.
Right.
I didn't have the skill set then. I didn't have the skill set or the understanding of how to use that to my advantage. And so I used to get very distracted if like people laugh too long. Cause in my mind, at that time I didn't know how to riff or anything. So I had this plan set and I was very by the script. So it was like, I would do the joke. And then if it gets laughs, I'm like, okay, I got to get to the next joke instead of like knowing how to like
React.
lead into the laughs and be present. I didn't know how to be
Right.
present. I
Yeah.
didn't know how to be present. I struggled with that a lot in the beginning of doing stand up. I didn't know how to be present. I didn't listen and pick up the cues from the audience.
I'm trying to be more present as a person in my life.
Oh my God, me too. Me too.
I'm barely
Yeah.
scratching the surface learning how to do that, I feel like.
No, I agree. I'm still in that place too. I have moments where I still have to remind myself to be present. I have to remind myself, like, oh, hey, like, listen, don't talk.
That's what I tell myself sometimes because I mean, it's a little more challenging on the Zoom, but like interrupting people,
Yeah.
I'm always, that's my inner monologue. It's like, listen, let the, listen, but
I have
cool.
to, yeah.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I don't want to take up too much of your time, too much more of your time. Is there anything else you think we should cover or talk about or
No, I feel
what
like
what did I miss? I think we got it. We got it all. We got, East
yeah,
Coast, West Coast, stand up, acting.
I feel like we
Mom.
covered. Yeah, we covered a bit. We covered quite a bit. You know, we covered. That felt like a bit of a memento. You know,
For sure. For
yeah,
sure.
no, I feel like we're good. That was
Yeah.
great. Thank you.
Oh, I appreciate it. Why don't you tell people where they can find you, follow you, anything else you're working on, want to plug,
Yeah, of
promote,
course.
or discuss? I'll let you do your thing.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at scarter724. You can find me on Instagram at Polly Pocket Negro. Yes, you heard that right. Um, when is this going to be out before July?
Yeah, oh, yeah. I'll put this out probably in a few days. I would think so. Probably
Okay.
this weekend or so. I'll keep you posted with all that.
Oh, cool. No, the reason I asked is I was going to say you can find me next at doing my great dear friend and fellow writing partner and comedian Niles Abston. He and Harper Rose, another fantastic comedian, they are doing a live edition of their podcast, the Clowncast, on July 2nd. I have the link in my bio on my Instagram. Go check it. You should come. That is going to be where you'll find me next. Whoever's listening, so pull up. It's going to be fun. It's going to be comedians. It's going to be music. It's going to be an open bar. It's going to be all kinds of crazy fun madness. So that I would say would be the next great. Yeah.
Cool. That does sound fun. I might have to check that out for sure. Cool. Again, I appreciate your time, but for real, it was fun. I learned a lot. I'm inspired, but I'll let you get on
Thank
with the
you.
rest of your evening and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, man.
Oh, you got it. You got it later.
Bye.
So there you have it. My conversation with Chaz Carter. That was fun. I really appreciate Chaz taking the time and sharing his story with me. I'm pretty inspired by how hard he and so many of my guests have worked over the years. but I'm also learning from them that it's okay to take a breath sometimes. But anyway, for everything about this show, of course, head to peoplewelovepodcast.com, at People We Love Podcast on Instagram. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter. And I think that's about all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. Thanks as always, and let's talk soon. Peace.